I love YouTube.
Great morning. Great morning. Good morning. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Good morning. It is so good to be here. It is so good to be seen. It is so good to see. It is so good to just be blessed with another day, another Wednesday. I'm so thankful. I'm so glad to be here with you all this morning. Let's get ready to rise and refocus. Good morning, beautiful people. Come on in. Yes, my name is Shirley. For those of you who do not know, I am a relationship and life strategist. I help people get to the next level in their life, in their relationships. My husband and I, my sidekick over here, he's with me every time that I get on. And he and I together, we help couples. We help them strengthen their relationships, go from divorce to thriving. And if that's what you want, hit us up. Let us know. Let's get to work. We did the last live that I did, I was talking about affairs, and somebody suggested let's talk about emotional affairs. And so that's what we are going to discuss today. We're going to get into emotional affairs, why they happen, how they happen, and next week I'm going to break down how to get through an emotional affair. How to get through an emotional affair. As many of you, know our story. Shannon and I are quite transparent about the challenges that we've faced, the things that we've experienced, and so we've experienced emotional affairs. And why do they happen? So many reasons, and we'll go through some of them. And I would love, where's the I don't see the YouTube pop up, babe.
Why you need to see YouTube pop up?
Because I see it every time, and that's where the people ask the questions, and that's where they
there's no one there.
Come to. Oh, okay, got you. Um. So one of the challenges is, especially as a believer, right? The first challenge is I'm operating in the flesh and not the spirit. One of the questions people always ask, and if you follow us, you will hear me. I'm consistent with this. That an affair happens because your character is out of alignment with Christ, right? And so when that happens, you're living in a fantasy, right? You start to fantasize. Somebody you see at work or at the gym or a place that you frequent regularly. Hey, good morning, Darrell. Good morning. A place that you frequent regularly. You begin to see their dynamics and how they move and how they look, how they smell, and you start to envision something that you don't have. And maybe they can be the one who can give it to you. And it's so crazy how the mind works. It's so crazy how the mind will trick you to cause you to feel as if what you want is that person. What you want is in them. And for those of you who have been in situations where you yourself have had an emotional affair, or maybe you did not act out physically, but internally, many of us do this. That's fantasizing, right? We will fantasize over and over and over about someone, especially when things are missing at home, especially when we're not getting what it is that we need from our spouse. And When we're not getting the things that we need from our spouse, it absolutely makes us ripe for an affair. One thing that I have learned is to never say never. Never say what you're not going to do. What never say what you're not going to allow, because you will be very surprised when you are operating in the flesh. You will be surprised how your walls that were up protecting you from the things of the flesh begin to just drop. They just brick by brick, that wall begins to fall down. And what looked crazy before doesn't look so bad now. That I'll never do that. It's like, well, maybe it won't be so bad. Maybe I'll just dabble in it. I'll just do a little here, do a little there. I won't go too far. That is the thing about sin. Sin will take you farther than you ever thought you will go and keep you longer than you ever thought you would stay. It just will. It just will. And so this is why, what is one of the things that I talk about? One of the things that I talk about in almost all of my lives, it is self-awareness. This is why self-awareness is so important, because if you are not so in tuned to yourself and how you are operating, you can get lost in the sauce. And listen, sometimes we are so self-aware and we continue down that road, and we continue down that road because it feels good in the moment. It feels good, right? And so some of the problems, we hadn't done the hard work. We hadn't done the hard work. So the hard work is, when we come into relationships, we have voids. We have holes in us. Many of us. It's an anomaly for somebody who has not experienced some type of trauma. But see, the thing about trauma, what people don't understand, when people think about trauma, you think about trauma, this macro thing. And so people say, well, I was never abused, and I had both parents, and I grew up in a loving home, and I just did not have, I wasn't bullied, and I was the popular person, and I played all the sports, and I was the cheerleader, and all the things. I was smart, all the things, beautiful, all the things, handsome, all the things. And you say, well, I didn't experience trauma. That doesn't mean that you don't have trauma. That doesn't mean that you don't have gaps and you don't have some holes that need to be filled. It's just micro trauma. And so you can't really see it. In certain things, you don't believe that it's trauma because it's just not this overt thing. It is just my belief from my studies that we all have trauma to some degree. Many on the macro level, and some on the micro level. And so it is difficult for those on the micro level to really see that they had trauma until they go through a therapeutic process, and the therapy begins to point out, the coach begins to point out patterns that they are living in, and trace it back to the root. It's like, okay, that pattern, it stems from just an event that happened in your life, and how you processed it wasn't the healthiest way. And so what happens is, we have these holes in us, and we go to our spouses, our partners, to fill these holes. Well, it's not their job to fill it. It was never their job to fill it. They don't have the ability to fill it, because they were not the ones to create it, right? And so we come into our relationships with these gaps, and if these gaps do not get worked through the proper way, eventually, when we start having challenges in our relationships, we start looking to our spouse to fill in those holes, putting pressure on them to do something they don't know how to do. They literally don't know how to do it. And then we start fantasizing and looking outward. This is why we must do the heart work. Healing, healing, healing. Another problem, another thing that will help you be ripe for an affair is when you and your spouse do not safeguard your relationship. I don't know how many people have gotten into a marriage and actually came together and created boundaries. That's an anomaly. It's an anomaly. I don't know a couple that we've talked to double digit years that they actually sat down at the table. They planned their life out. And part of that planning was putting in place boundaries. See, what happens is we'll put boundaries in place after the event has happened, after we've had an experience that does not benefit our relationship, after our spouse does something that causes us to feel a certain way, then we want to put boundaries in place. Not that it's too late, but man, you're putting the cart before the horse when you're just moving forward with a relationship and you're not discussing boundaries. What does that look like for us? Right? The places we go, the people that we talk to, what we talk about, how much of our relationship will we divulge to people? There are some people that I may not feel safe divulging my relationship with, and you do. That's a conversation that we need to have. And if I don't feel safe, then it just doesn't need to happen. If you, my spouse, you don't feel safe and I do, it's just something, it doesn't need to happen. Right? And so when we talk about boundaries, one of the things that's so hard about putting boundaries in place is because people want what they want. People want what they want. And if you see something one way and I see something another way, coming into the middle and somebody saying, I'll be the one to sacrifice. It takes a mature person to do that. You can be that mature person, right? But you have to be able to see what's the end goal. What's the end goal? Another thing that will cause you to be ripe for a relationship. You're not even thinking about the end goal of your marriage and everything in between. This takes intentionality. This takes complete intentionality. So, you know what's so crazy, y'all? We will safeguard other areas of our life. When you go to sleep at night, you are making sure the windows are locked, the doors are locked, everything is closed, the garage is down. You are making sure that your cars beep beep. You putting that alarm system on. You checking your children. You making sure their room is safe. You, you're doing all these things. You're looking at your bank account. Oh, you're safeguarding your bank account. You are on top of your. There are people every day who check their most humans check their bank account every day, every other day, because you want to make sure there is no activity going on that you don't know about. You are safeguarding it. You're able to lock your card, your account when you're not actively using it. There are things that you are putting in place because it's that important to you. And it's so interesting. The most important aspect of our life, the most important relationship of our life, for those of us who are married, we are nowhere near putting safe rails around and within our marriage the way we are these external things that will burn up, that will vanish, that will go away, that is not lasting. Think about that. I want you now to dissect your life and look at how you are operating. And I already know some of you right now are thinking, well, my spouse does this, 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 this. So why should I do this, 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 this? You can't do that. This has nothing to do with your spouse. This has everything to do with you. How are you safeguarding your relationship? How? If you are not safeguarding your relationship like you're safeguarding your house at night, you got a problem. Your friend group. What type of people do you hang around? I remember when I was working, when I went back to work, I was a stay-at-home mom, and then I went to work. And at this point in time, just emotionally, I was not doing well, and I didn't realize that I wasn't doing well. I knew that I was so just not happy. We had issues in our marriage. But at that time I was young and I didn't realize how it really does spill over into just every aspect of your life and can really go deep and cause you to make extremely unhealthy decisions if it is not checked. If it meaning your mental, your mind, where you allow your thoughts to go. And so, one of the things that helped me to be right for an emotional affair leading into an affair is the constant complaining about my husband. Just anybody who would listen, I would complain about my husband. And not that the complaints weren't justified. I'm not saying that whatever you have to say about your spouse is not justified. I'm not saying that at all. It's your experience. It is justified. But you have to share and talk with someone who is going to guide you, who supports marriage, who's going to guide you in a way that's going to bring healing and not be your cheerleader and not be like, bro, why are you taking that? You don't deserve that. Girl, why you, don't let him treat you like that. Oh, he is a dog. Ew, he's no. That is not what you need to hear when you are going through the darkest parts of your life with your spouse. When you are in a very dark season with your spouse, you do not need a cheerleader. You need someone who's going to kick your butt into gear, who's going to wake you up, who's going to ask you about you. How are you showing up? Well, what are you doing? How did you say thus and so? What was your response? That's what you need. You don't need somebody to tell you that everything that you did was the right way, that you don't need to change, that what they did was wrong and not what you did was. You don't need that. But that's what we gravitate to. That's what we go to. We're going to go to what causes us to feel good when we're operating in the flesh. Listen, the God that you say that you serve, are you walking that walk? You're the one that says that you serve a God who sits high and looks low and protects us from temptation and every burden that we have that we can lay at his feet, and that whatever we are going through, that God will get us through it. That if God cares about the lilies of the field and the birds in the air, why wouldn't God care about me, his daughter, you, his son? Why wouldn't he? So why couldn't I take these feelings and emotions that I had about my husband to the feet of Jesus? It's not that I couldn't, it's that I chose not to because I'm operating in the flesh. I am not safeguarding my marriage. I am not safeguarding my mind. I'm complaining about my husband. I'm not watching the things that I'm watching. These reality shows are killing us. Let me tell you something. Some of you are dealing with spouses who are replicating what they are experiencing in reality shows. When you are absorbing this information, your mind doesn't know, oh, this is a reality show. It's fake. All your mind knows is it is absorbing information, it's absorbing knowledge. And we take that because when we're absorbing it, that means it's repetition. Well, what happens with repetition, y'all? It seeps into our very being. I remember when I would watch reality shows just back to back, all the reality shows I was watching them, the housewives, the hip hop, New York, Atlanta, oh, years ago. I used to watch those things, and it helped to form in my mind fantasies. It helped to strengthen the thoughts that, man, I want what they have. How come my husband can't be like this? How come we can't have this? That's what it does. And it's not just to me, it does it to every last one of y'all who's indulging in certain things that you're watching. It is stripping down the fabric of your, if you have a spiritual fabric, a spiritual foundation, it is stripping it. It just is. There's no way around it. There's no way around it. You aren't so far removed that, oh, I can watch this. I can indulge in this. I can listen to this and it's not going to affect me. That is a lie from the pit of hell. It just is. How do you safeguard your relationship when you're holding on by threads? Great question. Um, Street, thank you for the question. I, I have a bunch of questions that I would like to ask. You know, you said when you're holding on by threads, but I'll say this. Um, if you're holding on by threads, that means you're still holding on. That means you're still there. So safeguarding the relationship has nothing to do with um, where the relationship is. Safeguarding the relationship is a principle that you live by. Right? So safeguarding the relationships, the things that I just said, not speaking ill of your spouse. When you talk about your situation, talk about it in a way where you're going to get healing and you're going to get help for you, if nothing else. If your spouse does not want to participate and you're choosing to stay, you get the help for you. How do I operate within this dynamic? My spouse doesn't want to do the work, but I want to do the work clearly because I'm staying, right? What are you watching? What are you listening to? Who are you listening to? Who are you allowing in your ear? Some of you need to shut the noise of your family. Your family's voice is just ringing in your ear, just, man, tearing your spouse down. It does not help you. How do you safeguard that? Stop allowing them to have any conversation with you as it pertains to your spouse. Period. Get some gahonas about yourself. I'm not saying this to you. Now I'm speaking holistically. But if the shoe fits, right? Get some gahonas about yourself and say, hey, whatever my spouse and I are going through, that's what we're going through, and we're working through it. And I don't want you to talk to me anymore. If it has to do anything negative about my spouse, do not bring it to me. Right. And listen, you could take it a step further and even apologize for opening that door. I apologize for even opening that door and allowing you to feel like these are conversations we can have. I've been in a hurt place and I opened that door and I apologize, but right now I'm closing it. You safeguard your marriage. Doesn't matter that you're holding on by threads, because if you're holding on by threads, that means you're holding on. And so you do the work. You do the work. How are you pouring into your spouse? What does that look like for you? Yes, your spouse may be a jerk. Yes, your spouse may be mean and unkind. This is my thing. If you're choosing to stay, then that means choose to do the work. If you're choosing to leave, then just leave. That's a choice that you have. But if you're choosing to stay, see, many of you are holding on by threads because you're choosing to stay, but you're not choosing to do the work. And that's the problem. Trust me on this. I guarantee you, if I had a conversation with you, Street, and asked you all the things that you were doing compared to all the things you're not doing, the things that you're not doing, that list would be massive. Massive. If I ask you, how are you serving your spouse, loving on your spouse, pouring into your spouse? When your spouse brings heat, you're not bringing heat back. You are being loving. You are being supportive. You are falling back on the arguments and the accusations and the judgments and the criticisms. I guarantee you, if I talk to your spouse would say, because I don't know if you're a guy or a girl, a woman or a man, your spouse will say, this is how my spouse is showing up, like, and it's hurting me, and I've shut down. I put my walls up. I'm done. I'm tired. I'm telling you. So the best thing that you can do in a relationship is to check yourself. We keep trying to chin check our spouse. You need to chin check yourself. And if you have a spiritual foundation, I guarantee you, the Holy Spirit has been chin checking you, and you have been ignoring. You, I'm saying you, I'm not talking to you, street. Now I'm talking to all of us. We keep ignoring the Holy Spirit. We do. And so what happens is our whole life becomes a lie. When you start fantasizing and when you get into an emotional affair, your whole life now becomes a lie. Why? Because everything is secret. Everything is secret. Now you got to hide your phone, right? It's so crazy. Man, it's so crazy how the enemy just helps us to think that something that is so poisonous for us and that will literally kill us is so good. It's so good. But it's not. What is a good mindset to have with finances? I have bad selfish mindset with that, saying it is my money. Oh wow. You work hard for it and I need to change. I know now it's not my money, but God's money. And it's a tool to use for my feeling, but I'm having tough time getting out of that mindset. What got you into that mindset? What got you into that mindset? That would be something to know. Where did you get that? You have a fear surrounding money. Did you grow up in poverty? Um, are you a very selfish person by nature? We're all selfish. Some of us way more than others, and we have a mentality. Um, but it's so interesting because if your spouse were to say, um, this is mine, whatever this is. It can be your spouse's money, your spouse's body, your spouse's heart, your spouse's service, your spouse's love, your spouse's support. All of those belong to your spouse. Your spouse is choosing to give them to you. So, what are your thoughts about your spouse saying, oh, okay, well, this is mine, and I'm going to keep this for myself. I'm not going to give this to you. Perhaps I'll give it to somebody else because you're giving your money to somebody else. And I don't mean that in the sense that you're giving it to somebody else in a fair way, but you're spending it on what you want to spend it on. You're giving it to whatever business you want to give it on. So you're willing to share your money with businesses, with companies, with organizations, with the malls and the stores and the restaurants, but you're being selfish with your spouse. Think about how ass backwards that sounds. The one who's committed their life to you, who they've entrusted you with their heart forever. The covenant is forever. The covenant isn't from the day we get married until we decide to not be married. The covenant is till death do us part. That's the covenant we made. Yes, many of us don't keep it, but that is the covenant we made. And so you're saying to the one that you claim you love, that's what you claimed. Whether you went to the JOP or you stood before a sea of people, You said, I love this person. Oh, you're the sneaker. Darrell, I didn't even realize you were the sneaker guy. Yeah, come on, bro. So you rather cake Jordan, who don't care nothing about you, bro. You rather cake Jordan than to cake your wife, who's carried your seeds, who's loved your dirty draws, who's been there to carry your pain, the shoulder that you've cried on, the lap that you've laid your head in, the one who's dealt with you, the dynamics of your family, the dynamics of your foolishness. Bro, like, make it make sense. You said laugh. Right, come on, bro. Make it make sense. I would like to have a conversation with you. Absolutely, you can have a conversation. You can DM us, anybody who would like to book a session with myself, with Shannon, or with Shannon and myself. DM us and we will send you the information so that you can book a session with us. Once again, for those of you who do not know, my name is Shirley. My husband is Shannon. He's sitting right here next to me. We are relationship strategists. We help couples to go from striving to thriving in their relationship. The only thing that we need from you is a willing heart. If you have a willing heart, we have what you need. If you're not willing to do the work, that just simply means you're willing to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. Got to be willing to do the work. So yeah, you welcome, Darrell. You welcome. Black Cherry, good morning. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Darrell, how you doing with spending it on the sneakers? I thought you stopped, bro. What's up with that? What's up with that? So listen, some of the ways that we can decrease, not decrease, but completely avoid affairs, whether they're emotional affairs or you take it to the next step. Typically, emotional affairs last between statistics say 3 months to 2 years. And what causes them to drop off? The fantasy has calmed down because what happens? You see the real person, right? You see the real person. And sometimes you realize, man, it really was just that, a fantasy. And sometimes it takes us longer. But trust me, whether it takes 3 months or 30 years, you're going to realize it's a fantasy. So interesting. I was listening to a show the other day, and a gentleman was in an affair for 25 years. And it's so crazy. Man, it's so crazy how the mind works because 25 years he was able to get away with it. So he but for 25 years, his wife knew that something was wrong and she kept asking him for 25 years. She just did not have proof. But it was something in her spirit that kept telling her something is not right. Something is not right. And she would ask and he would deny. She would ask and he would deny. And this just went on. And so what happened was she kept parts of herself from him. And so the relationship that they could have, they didn't have because he was keeping parts of himself from her, thus causing her to say, well, I'm going to keep parts of myself from you because I know you're having an affair. So when they would make love, for her, it was performative. She wasn't wrapped up in it, like emotionally in it, because she knew that he was not emotionally in it. And so they were talking about, now it all came out. The proof, something happened. She had proof. It was all exposed. And the crazy thing is, he realized that he was manipulated. Like this woman never loved him. He was giving all this money, taking her on trips, but he was so steeped in his hurt, his need for validation, his need for getting these holes in him filled. And instead of going to his wife and saying, I'm feeling like thus and so, he allowed this to go on for 25 years. And you know what he said? He said, was I lived in a fantasy for 25 years. It wasn't worth it. While you're in it, you may believe it's worth it. But now this is 25 years that is so much stuff that didn't happen between he and his wife. So many things that were missed, so many opportunities for connection and growth. So they've been married for 30 something years, but the marriage, the connection, the dynamics between them is not 30 something years old in a healthy way. It's not. They are now, they've been together 30 something years, but they're just now operating from a healthy space. So it's like a whole new relationship. And it's so interesting because throughout our life, we will have at least 3 very intense marriages. We will have 3 marriages. Now, hopefully, the 3 marriages that you have are within your marriage, right? And that's the thing. We are ever evolving and changing and growing. And then there are times where there are just massive, major pivotal moments in our life. Um and psychologists, they call that another marriage, right? And that's where we shift and we grow and we change and we just go to the next level if we allow ourselves to go to the next level. Because this is the thing, the marriages will come because challenges will come. So how we handle the challenges determine what level we go to in our next marriage, what our next marriage will look like, what our next marriage will feel like. Right. And so, listen, we have to do the work on the front end. We have to. Many of us are finding ourselves in affairs because we feel unseen. And you know, when people say, I feel unseen, it's talking about being misunderstood, needs being met, and you convey the needs, and your spouse, just for whatever reason, is unwilling to meet the need. You feel unseen by your spouse, feeling unappreciated. If you want your spouse to be ripe for an affair, show an appreciation for your spouse. Just don't appreciate them. That is a massive, especially for men. Men want to know that they are appreciated, y'all. It's just such a deep need for them. And I'm not saying it's not a need for us as women, but how we are wired, men and women are wired differently. And that is something that is very sensitive to their spirit. I encourage us as wives to really show appreciation, even if you're holding on by a thread. I almost guarantee you, if you begin to show your husband appreciating, things will shift. Things will shift. It will shift. Um, just a lot of times you will be right for an affair. Your spouse will be right for an affair, depending on the dynamics between you and your family, or your spouse and their family, right? So if you have a spouse, or if you are continually putting your family before your spouse, you're allowing your family to make decisions in your home that you and your spouse pay bills in, and your family has more of a say so than your spouse. Oh, honey, your spouse is right for an affair. You are putting your spouse right in the direction of an emotional affair, if nothing else. Because what you're saying is, I can't even trust you. That you don't have my best interest at heart. You have your mama's best interest at heart. You have your daddy's best interest at heart. You have your siblings' best interest at heart, but you don't have mine, right? And so when we put our spouse in a position to say, I can't trust you, your spouse is ripe for an emotional affair, right? The dynamics at work, y'all, it's so interesting. There are people who really believe that it's okay to have a work wife, a work husband. All that is an emotional affair. Come on, let's stop playing around with it. You can dress it up, put it in a box, wrap it up in some beautiful paper, and put an amazing bow on it. That's an affair. I don't even in the worst of times, I ain't calling you my wife or my husband. Why am I calling somebody my work wife, my work husband? Why would you do that? Those are sacred labels. Those are sacred words, sacred terms. Husband, wife, that's sacred. And what happens is you give them privileges of a husband and a wife. You do. You start having more intimate conversations. That's an emotional affair. When you are divulging intimate things, when you're having intimate conversations, and you start to take this intimacy outside of your home and into your workplace, and many of you don't even realize it because these affairs, they aren't, oh, I'm going to wake up and have an affair today. No, it happens because crumb by crumb, you're dropping crumbs. You're doing little things, little conversations, little receiving. Oh, thank you for bringing me a coffee. Oh, let me return the favor. Oh, thank you for bringing me a coffee. Oh, well, let me return the favor. Just little crumbs here or there. And before you know it, boom. And that's why people say, I don't know how it happened. I don't know what happened. Well, you didn't safeguard your marriage. You didn't see how somebody was coming on to you and your spouse told you, man, I feel comfortable about the dynamics of your relationship. Like, what's going on there? Oh, nothing. Oh, we just no, we just cool. We just work on a project together. We good. No, it ain't nothing like that. They just cool peoples. Meanwhile, we start having lunch together. Right? No big deal, right? Oh, but you paying for the lunch. Come on, y'all. Stop playing. Stop playing. You are destroying your marriage. Those of you who are married, you are destroying your marriage. You are destroying yourself. You are tearing down the fabric of who you are. If you don't want your marriage to leave your marriage, if you don't want your marriage to leave your marriage, or do something about it, do something about it. But don't go down the road of opening the doors to something that is going to damage you more than you will ever know. And you won't know the level of damage until the damage has been done. And after that, you can't take it back. You can't reverse it. There's nothing you can do at that point. But now sit in it, address it, and see how you're going to move forward. That's it. I don't even need to talk about the signs of an affair for real, for real. We know the signs of an affair. We know it. The secrecy, to start smelling good. All of a sudden, your spouse dressing better, just looking good. Stop having certain conversations with you. Or another sign, which a lot of times I've talked to spouses where they didn't know that something was going on because they said all of a sudden, like their spouse, they started to open up more and become more loving and all of that. Well, what was going on was they were feeling good. And so they did bring that energy to their spouse, right? So they were happy. So they're coming home happy and they're giving you that energy of happiness because they don't hate you. You're the spouse. They still love you. They still care for you. They don't want to not be with you, but they're enjoying something over here. And so, so listen, I'm not saying for you to start questioning if your spouse is all of a sudden they're just so loving and kind. Maybe they are doing the work, right? So I don't want you to judge it that now they're in an affair. But that is one of the signs of someone who could be having an affair, right? You're changing your energy, your appearance, all of that, comparing you directly or indirectly. Um, sometimes your spouse can start asking you to dress a certain way. I'm telling you, this is a big sign. Your spouse starts asking you to wear certain things. They've been in an emotional affair, a physical affair, or comparing to you to something that they're watching online. That's an affair. It is. There are levels to this. That's an affair. You're taking your emotions and putting them somewhere else, right? So they can just be engaging in online activity and want you to look like what they're looking at. Right. So, the signs, many of us are aware of the signs, but I want you to be aware of how you are operating and how you may be opening the door for you and or your spouse to be ripe for an emotional affair. Next week, we're going to talk about how to work through an emotional affair. Yeah, we're going to delve into that. It is absolutely something you can come back from. Doing the work, that's the hard part. But that's also the beautiful part. And what makes it beautiful, I call it beautiful pain. When you are in pain, what makes it beautiful is that you have the power to shift the culture in your heart, which can then shift the culture in your relationship, in your marriage, and can you all can together create something new and beautiful. When an affair happens, you're not going to go back to who you were, right? And so let's just stop thinking, I want what we had. No, that's not going to happen. You should want something better than what you had. You should want something more than what you had. And that's the beautiful part about the second and third marriage, being able to create something even more dynamic. And let me say this, when as it pertains to the second and third marriage, that doesn't mean an affair happens. That just means like a major shift in your life has happened. It could be your spouse has cancer. You guys are experiencing something devastating and your life has shifted. You a spouse who has lost a job that was bringing in major income, and your whole lifestyle now has changed. That's devastating. And so these things can either make you or break you. Losing a child, it can make you or break you. And how you respond to these challenges in life will determine if you allow yourself to be ripe for an affair, whether an emotional affair or a physical affair. If you grow, if you grow to the next level, if you allow yourself to get through it together. How do we work through this together? What does that look like? Having the conversations. So many of us are not talking, we're not having the conversations. And that's why we are ripe for affairs, because we are not having the tough conversations. And the tough conversations are, I feel a certain way, that I'm experiencing something and I don't like what's going on within me, and I'm bringing it to you so that we can talk about it. And many times we're having problems talking about things because when we've brought it to our spouse the first time, if we've gotten a poor reaction, we're like, nope, I'm not doing that again. I don't want that response. That's not what I came to you um, with my guard down, pouring my heart out, and you just kicked it to the curb. You bashed me. You asked me, well, why am I feeling like that? I shouldn't be feeling like that. What all these things, and I'm bringing something sensitive to you. How are you responding to your spouse when they bring something to you? Based on your response, will determine if you're opening the door for an emotional affair for them or not, or for a flat out affair, or to go to the internet, go to these sites, get entertained that way, get filled up that way. You have the power. You have the power to change you, to work on you, for you to do the work. You put safeguards around yourself so that you can begin to safeguard your marriage. You create the foundation for how you are going to move so that you can make sure that however I move, it is in the best interest of me, my spouse, my family. That's it. Not my flesh, not my feelings, because they will betray you every time. So listen, once again, my name is Shirley. I am here to support you. If you would like coaching from us, you can DM us. We also have some books. I want you guys to go and get our book. Shannon has a book he wrote called Husband. I have a book I wrote called Wife. And they are powerful materials for you to read, to help you to grow in your marriage, to help you to grow internally, to help you to see yourself and see how you are showing up and how you can better show up for your spouse. If you want coaching, DM us. We will send you the information. We will talk about how to get through an affair. And listen, come with your questions. Come with your questions. Many of you have asked for this topic. And so I want you to bring your questions next week so I can answer your questions directly that are just close to your heart. I appreciate you guys. Let's rise and refocus. Let's refocus. That's the power that you have, the ability to refocus. That is within you. Nobody else can do that for you, but you can do that for you. Peace.